That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. Couldn't do it.
Up for sound bites. This is awesome.
Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B., and of course, Just Jack, Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Good to see everyone here.
Yep. Shout outs in the chat. We got Aisling717, Cami. Good morning. Alex Javier, TC Zamman. Good rising, my favorite gathering every week. Appreciate that comment. Joseph Osborne. Marky Rizzo, Memorial Gardens, Sean Keeley, Dennis Amaran. I don't know why I said Janice. Sorry about that. Ion Donut. And thank you. Sharing is caring, and that's what we can do. Absolutely. That's all I can do. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And John Keeley. So, I already shouted out John Keeley, but shout him out again.
It
All right.
happens.
So, I'll just knock out the disclaimer because there's no actual connection between the two chapters, but we can do a quick overview of the last one. And this one this week is pretty short. So, just disclaimer to the religious. If you believe it's wrong to study your scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've already made up your mind about scripture, including the scriptures shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then the stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There you go.
All right.
All right. So if you want to do a quick overview of last week's, it was a pretty long one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on the offerings that were brought for each of the Moedim, including the Sabbath. The Sabbath was also considered a Moedim, which is an appointed time. 1 second. Sorry about that. So it's talking about these massive amounts of animals that were brought for each of the days, even during each. So there's 2 week long celebrations, one in the spring and one in the latter, the early and the latter week long celebrations, which are Matzot, unleavened bread, and Sukkot, which is like the week long camping festival. And each of these days had its own group of sacrifices or animals that were brought to sacrifice. And we discussed that the numbers that an individual would have to come up with is insane. That these are not individual sacrifices, but the sacrifices offered by the Levites during these Moedim days. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And today, different subject completely, which is the vows, making a vow to Yah. Now, if you are someone who grew up in church, you may have heard that Jesus says, basically, now again, that's a whole nother subject, the name, but the vow, it says that you shouldn't swear at all in the current modern King James Version interpretation. However, if you look at the older Greeks, just not even going back to the Hebrew, but going back to the older Greeks, it says you shall not swear falsely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you should never swear falsely by any means. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. So, for instance, it's like, do not swear at all. Well, then your yes can't be yes. There's no swear.
Right.
There's no dedication, no oath, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your yes is yes, that's an actual dedication. But he says, do not swear falsely by any means. So I just wanted to clarify that really quick because that's pertinent to this subject here. It also, a lot of people say that you can't swear by the Creator, right? Swear in His name. But in reality, the Creator says you must swear in my name. That way it has more weight to it. It has more something that you would pay attention to more. So in this case, it's like it's literally going into swearing on Jehovah. So we can start with Numbers 30 and verse 1.
All right. And Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, This is the word which Jehovah has commanded.
Okay, so here we have two incidences of the word, and one is said spoke, and the other one says word, but it's both davar, word, which is a word of order. All right.
Okay. When a man vows a vow to Jehovah, or swears an oath to bind himself by some agreement, he does not break his word. He does according to all that comes out of his mouth.
Okay, so a vow and oath are similar words. A vow is something that you swear to, and an oath is the word for fulfillment. It will be fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
So a vow can be something where I will never do such and such, right? That's a vow. Where if you swear an oath, it's saying I will, I must, I have to do this one thing. It has to be fulfilled. So that oath is a slight different. It has to be a fulfillment rather than a, if this happens or if that happens, this or that. That's a vow. Where an oath is like, it will be done. This is going to happen. So oath is the same root word as the Sabbath, and seven and oath and fulfill. So very, very heavy word. All right. 3.
All right. Or if a woman vows a vow to Jehovah and binds herself by some agreement while in her father's house in her youth.
Okay. So the father is the covering of the house. So it's like, if the daughter is making a vow that will change the dynamics of the house, that's basically what this is talking about, because she's swearing to Jehovah, so it's a heavy vow. All right, go ahead.
And her father hears her vow and the agreement by which she has bound herself, and her father has kept silent towards her, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement with which she has bound herself stands.
Okay, self-explanatory, I think.
But if her father forbids her on the day that he hears, then none of her vows nor her agreements by which she has bound herself stand, and Jehovah pardons her because her father has forbidden her.
Okay, so if the daughter, again, this is a single daughter, this isn't a married daughter. This is a younger daughter. If she makes a vow and it's against the father's wishes, like worst case scenario, the daughter says, I'm never going to have children, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The father's like, no, that doesn't stand.
Right.
I swear, because I'm not going to use the Creator's name even in the example, but I swear, Creator, I will never have children. The father's like, no, that's nonsense. I throw that out,
Mm-hmm.
it does not stand. All right. 6.
But if she at all belongs to a husband while bound by her vows, or by a rash utterance from her lips by which she bound herself, and her husband hears it, and he has kept silent towards her on that day that he hears, then her vows shall stand, and her agreements by which she bound herself do stand.
Okay, so now and it's not just the daughter, it's also the wife, because he has a obligation to keep order of the house.
Mm-hmm.
8.
But if her husband forbids her on the day that he hears it, then he has nullified her vow which she vowed, and the rash utterance of her lips by which she bound herself, and Jehovah pardons her.
And this utterance is a crack or an outburst. So just to let you know, that's the word utterance. Because there's another utterance that's kind of like a subconscious utterance, like something that just comes out of your mouth because of inspiration or something. Different utterance. All right.
But any vow of a widow or a divorced woman by which she has bound herself stands against her.
All right.
And
Hold on one second. Let me see something. Yeah, I don't like against her.
Yeah, it sounds kind of weird. When I read that, I was like, stands against her. What does it? I mean, it seems like it's just gonna she's
It
gonna
stands
have to
up.
deal with it, right? Like
It's
nobody's.
yeah. It says it does rise up. That's all it says. Shall stand against her sounds like, oh, you're in trouble now.
Yeah,
What if the vow's a good vow?
right.
No, it does rise up. It does stand up. That's what it says.
Mm,
Like that's
yeah.
specifically what it says. And this bound, that's another thing. Like it's like bound like oh my gosh. Bound sounds like something that's stuck to you that you can't get rid of, right? But this bound is the yoke, right? So hold on. So a yoke, hold on. Sorry about that. I got a big old frog in my throat. Anyway, that yoke is where you have two ox that are walking together, and it helps them to stay together so that they can, pull in straight lines, right? And the yoke means that you are bound to it, but that's because you're going together, right? Like a husband and a wife, they're bound to each other, but not like, the whole ball and chain thing, but
Mm-hmm.
more like a yoke that you're walking together,
Right.
walking it out together. So this is the same thing with this vow is she is yoked, you know, um, yoked her on her life source, right? So this is her soul, and here it says herself. King James Version says souls. That's actually more appropriate than just bound herself. Okay, so it's bound to your life source, your subconscious reality, I guess you could say. All right, 10.
Right. And if she vowed in her husband's house or bound herself by an agreement with an oath, and her husband
Okay, so
heard it,
now it's a heavier thing because it has an oath. Okay,
okay, and her husband heard it and has kept silent towards her and did not forbid her, then all her vows shall stand and every agreement by which she bound herself stands.
okay.
But if her husband clearly nullified them on the day he heard them, then whatever came from her lips concerning her vows or concerning the agreement binding her, it does not stand. Her husband has nullified them, and Jehovah pardons her.
All right, 13.
Every vow and every binding oath to afflict her being, yet let her husband confirm it, or let her husband nullify it.
Afflict her being. Here we go again. That is intently looked upon her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, intently looked upon her life source. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Afflict her being. Oh boy. Anyway,
But if her husband is altogether silent at her from day to day, then he confirms all her vows or all the agreements that bind her. He confirms them because he kept silent towards her on the day that he heard.
so it's basically like he's bound herself to her binding, so or he yoked himself with her yoke. Okay.
Mhm. But if he nullifies them after he has heard, then he shall bear her crookedness.
He shall. Yeah.
Yeah. But if he nullifies them after he has heard, then he shall bear her crookedness.
Yep.
These are the laws which Jehovah commanded Moshe between a man and his wife, and between a father and his daughter in her youth in her father's house.
In other words, they have a huge responsibility to make sure that the wife or daughter is in line with the family dynamic, basically. So it's but the way I like it, like at the end of it, he shall bear the crookedness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he lets this binding go on and he doesn't make sure that it gets fulfilled, then he's the one that has to pay for it.
Then it's his fault.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why didn't you make it happen? She made this vow, you let her make this vow, and you didn't help her fulfill it. That's your problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what that's about. All right. So that was definitely a short chapter after the, multiplicity of verses that we had in the previous one. Um, so next week we will be, or next meetup, it'll be a pretty heavy discussion. It's vengeance on Midian. So they're actually starting to go to war before crossing over the Yarden here.
Hmm.
All right. So getting into chat here. Yeah, Alex Javier, I'll talk to you about that later. The thing that you chat me. Um, hey, good times for all. Zachary Zabala, Valley Parks, Duke Nukem. John Keeley again. No, I'm just kidding. J. And then the Russian word that I cannot read again.
Mm-hmm. In the beginning was the word, apparently, and nobody knows what it was. Well, it probably isn't a word as you and I understand it. I think it was just a frequency.
Yeah, I agree.
It was whatever the
So
frequency is that the creator put out to start this realm.
So Alex Javier's question is, swearing and cursing in today's language is not talked about in scripture. That's correct. Like saying the four-letter words, etc. Yeah, it's vulgar slang, but it's not breaking any commands. I know Elijah used strong language when he was talking with the Baal priest. Yeah. All right. John Keeley says, thanks to Karen and Jack. So where were you seeing that? Was that in a different chat? That first word thing?
No, that was in the YouTube chat. It was the
Why
Russian
don't I
word
see it?
right under where Jana says
Oh yeah.
smile.
Okay, I see it. I
Yeah.
see it now. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Cammy.
Hey, Cammy. All right.
All
That
right.
about wraps it up.
That is it. Short one today.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
It's a nice day today.
Yeah.
We should
Nice day to take it easy. Y'all get your rest in. That's what today's about. So
enjoy the nicer weather. Starting to hear
indeed.
birds sing outside, which is cool. I like that.
Indeed. Yeah. It's good times. All right. Shabbat shalom, and the earth is still flat.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.